Strange, we all right?
This is one of the craziest Avengers Doomsday theories swirling around in my head and inside of the community of the MCU. Yes, from the far left corners of my MCU mind, and have so many different facets that might actually be true. Starting with theory number 1. Iron Man was always Dr. Doom. What if everything we thought we knew about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, specifically MCU's Earth 616, and this universe's greatest hero was completely wrong? And my friends, this theory completely flips the MCU upside down. Salutations and fist bumps, folks. Welcome back to the grid. So what if the Tony Stark that we followed from Iron Man 1 all the way through the Endgame snap wasn't actually Tony Stark, but instead he was a variant of Victor Von Doom, a Doom pulled from another timeline set inside of this one and then adopted by the Starks. And before you throw stones, remember that Tony in the Invincible Iron Man arc actually mentions the fact that he was adopted. He was then planted inside the sacred timeline, all as a part of a master plan by He Who Remains. Logic? Simple, but wild. Because in order to stop Doom, one of the most dangerous beings in the multiverse, who actually is way more terrifying than Kang himself, at least in the comics, He Who Remains had to remove him from the game completely. So then, what does he do? He plucks a younger, less corrupted version of Doom from a parallel universe and drops him into Earth 616 under a new name, Tony Stark. He's then raised by the Starks, inherits their empire, becomes a genius billionaire, and eventually joins the Avengers. Inside of this crazy theory, the entirety of the Infinity Saga becomes a slow burn arc, not of redemption, but of control. This Doom variant believes that he is Tony Stark. Again, he becomes Iron Man, and then he sacrifices himself to defeat Thanos. And in doing so, erases the one variable that would have destroyed all of time, his true identity. But here's where things take a turn for the dark side. After his death, reality begins to fracture because technically, like I mentioned in a previous video, he's similar to a anchor being, or because of the big three, one part of the anchor beings of Earth 616. And technically that would then mean that he and Cap are now gone and the only one left is Thor. But after his death now occurs, the real Doom legacy was never actually able to rise and be realized. Then, with Kang defeated, including He Who Remains, the multiverse starts to unravel. Timelines that were once pruned begin to bleed, and the truth buried deep inside Tony's past starts crawling its way back. Now, this variant is waking up, either resurrected by the multiverse itself, revived by Kang Tech, or rewritten by time itself. And when he returns, he remembers who he actually really is. And this time, he's not here to save the world. He's here to rebuild it brick by brick in his own image. This, again, I know might sound insane until you start to look at the meta breadcrumbs that the MCU has been dropping over a bunch of time. In order to understand this, we have to go back to 2005, because before RDJ actually put on the Iron Man suit, he auditioned to play Dr. Doom in the Fantastic Four movie.
There were, and
I
I've
remember
talked
there was.
about
I
it.
remember that Robert had come in for a general on it, and I remember you had all met with him already for like Doctor Doom or something on another project. I think on I think he had come through on a maybe
Right.
Fantastic Four.
Right.
So, what if Marvel is actually starting to cash in, or possibly starts to cash in on that situation? Because as we all know, Feige loves meta storytelling. We saw it with Ralph Bohner in WandaVision, Channing Tatum's Gambit cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine, and every multiverse tease that Marvel's done since No Way Home. They know we, the fans, remember stuff like this and actually actively search for it too. So, knowing that, they want fans to lose their minds when the puzzle pieces start to connect. So, RDJ's return in Avengers Doomsday is not just a nostalgic play. It's a possible literal twist. Think about what the Russo brothers actually recently said, because they said there's nobody else on Earth who could play this version of Doom like Robert Downey Jr. So to me, that's a big statement. It implies that Doom will slightly or entirely sound like Iron Man, feel like Iron Man, and move like him as well, because maybe he is him. But here's the kicker. This perfectly fits the infamous Iron Man story arc from the comics, where Doom tries to redeem himself after Tony's death by becoming Iron Man. He wears the suit, fights evil, but people still don't trust him because deep down they know it's not the same man. Now, imagine that playing out in reverse. Tony Stark dies and then returns, but he's not really Tony. He's Doom, finally reclaiming the legacy that he was denied. So, how does this all start to come together? Well, of all likely sources, it starts with the TVA.
Time Variance Authority.
It starts to have cracks in the forming of its control. With Kang defeated and again he who remains, and the sacred timeline along with it no longer being stable, the entire system begins to break down. Pruned timelines are now leaking, variants are escaping everywhere, and the void, the final dumping ground for reality's mistakes, is becoming active again. And oh, by the way, variants weren't actually ever supposed to escape the void, but Loki and Sylvie, and now as of recent events Deadpool and Wolverine, now have, which adds a whole other wrinkle into this. But this is where Doom comes in. Now fully awakened to his true identity, Doom realizes his rise was stolen. The TVA didn't just erase bad memories, they erased him, and they replaced him with a puppet. They gave his face, future, and arc to another man, Iron Man. And now that everything is collapsing, it's the perfect time to strike, and Doom wants his arc back. He then infiltrates the TVA, possibly by hacking their tech, or maybe he corrupts the remaining hunters, or maybe he just walks through the front door because, again, this entire thing is in shambles. His goal, not revenge, but domination. He wants to restore his place inside the multiverse, and to do that, he sets his sights on the Void, and specifically the Citadel where Loki currently sits, which is literally where he's holding the entirety of the multiverse timeline together, or timelines together. And he's the only thing standing in the way between total collapse and structured reality. And Doom plans to take that throne. If Theory 1 is true and Tony Stark was secretly a Doom variant, then his death in Endgame didn't just end the saga, it broke the multiverse. If you've made it to this far in the video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to hear more theories like this around the MCU, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. So that's my first theory around Avengers Doomsday so far. And until next time, y'all be smooth, blurred out.